So today I'm walking along with the Pocket 1, having a rare outing, which I've got mounted in a ScottyMakesStuff case version of the 4th axis stabiliser, and going to see what difference it makes. First thing is, it makes you feel kind of conspicuous, but you've got this strange object bouncing along in your hand. But never mind the look, what about the pictures? I won't be able to tell much till I get home. I'm holding the case quite high up, as advised by Scotty. I can see the sense of that. And I've got the case adjusted so that the camera is bouncing as little as possible. Really, I've got the adjuster adjusted pretty tight, because it seems to me that you don't want it to keep sort of rebounding. I'm going to take my life in my hands and cross over here. Nice little country garden style garden along here. Now, what doesn't help is that I've got a bit of a limp today, a bit of a sore foot, so that in a way is a worst case scenario. Anyway, I'll keep walking down this way, I think. As much as anything, I'm looking for somewhere to walk where there are things alongside, because that in a way makes the problem appear worse. So again, I'm trying to go for the worst case scenario. What I'm noticing is that there's a degree of sort of side to side wobble as I walk. I can feel it sort of almost like flexing to the left and right. Whether that'll be apparent when I play it back, I don't know. So anyway, here we are at the local reserve, as they call parks around here. People who've seen my videos before will probably know this spot well. Can hear the sound of frogs in there somewhere. Let's go down this way. That's got some fences either side, which will help to, if anything, emphasise the degree of bounce happening. Now, I'm going to walk a little bit down here, and then I'm going to in effect lock the stabiliser so it can't bounce at all, which is the equivalent of just holding the camera handheld. Basically, I'm just going to put my finger on it so it can't move, and that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so the camera can't now move on its arms at all. It's as if I was just carrying it without the stabiliser at all. Don't know whether any difference will be apparent. And now I'm letting go. There. Now it can bounce again to theoretically absorb my movements. Let's see what we get. I'll probably do that a few times. I wish they'd had playgrounds like this when I was a kid. Wonderful, full of adventurous things to do. Surprisingly quiet today given the sunshine. Here in the Melbourne area we've had day after day after day of drizzle or rain or showers, with temperatures peaking at about 12 or 13 degrees centigrade, and today's really a remarkably pleasant day given recent weather performance. Oh dear. I'm on a flatter car park path. Don't know whether that will make matters better or worse. Says strictly no dogs. Doesn't say anything about strictly no fourth axis stabilisers, so that's okay. The kind of point of this park is that it's always been a park. There's never been any buildings on this site since the dawn of history, and so it's really just native vegetation, the way this part of Australia has always been. Only a small oasis, but thank God they preserved it. Very pleasant sort of meadow here. I believe even some of the grasses in this area are native grasses. They're not stuff that you'd buy from the horticultural shops. It's a real thing. So I'm now going to grip the arms again so that it will effectively be as if the fourth axis stabiliser isn't working from now. And now I'm letting go again so that it's operating as it should. Here's an awkward gait, which is how I'm walking. Sorry for the terrible pun. I'm going to go this way this time, being careful on this slippery path. One of the handy things about the stabiliser is that this version is packed into a case, so that at any time I can simply stop recording, turn off the camera and just fold it into the case and just stuff it in my pocket, or just walk along with it in my hand, completely protected by the case, which is a handy feature. I do wish this camera had the proper stereo or quadraphonic, if you like, surround sound of the Pocket 2, which for me is one of its great advantages. On this it's just, as memory serves me, a single microphone, and of course, as I haven't got the tiny little bird there, as I haven't got the Pocket 2 with its excellent surround sounds with me, the birds are going overboard all around me, putting on a wonderful display of sound, and seems like they're enjoying this day as much as I am. Once again, I'm now going to grip the arms to effectively turn off the stabiliser. Okay, off now. The gimbal head of the camera itself is, I believe, on tilt lock. I can demonstrate that by tilting it. Yes, it's on tilt lock. Obviously that helps with general stabilisation, but what a gimbal cannot do is to deal with this fourth axis. On the is it the 4D camera that DJI make? They've got a sort of electric fourth axis stabiliser which sort of senses movement in the hands and literally keeps the head of the camera in one place in space, even though the operator's hand is going up and down. Much more sophisticated than this mechanical spring arrangement, but of course that costs rather a lot. This actually cost me $17, so if it doesn't work, I've not lost a lot, and maybe it will just make a useful accessory as a case. Okay, now all this time I've been holding on to the arms, so now I'm letting go again and letting it move freely and do its job. I'm a bit gingerly here because of my Asian dignity. An ancient fallen tree here. Don't know whether it's in the frame. I've made today's video just at 1080p because I'm not so much concerned about overall picture quality, just the effect of the fourth axis gimbal, which I imagine isn't particularly fussed about whether it's 4K or 1080p or whatever. So now I'm walking up a reasonably steep hill, and I can see the movement of the arms is quite a bit more exaggerated because I think walking up the hill it's making me sort of bounce a bit more. I'll briefly hold on to the arms. Holding on to them. Now I'm letting go. Oops. With luck you can hear my footsteps on the gravel, so you can sort of correlate whatever movement you see to my footsteps. Temptation to sit down at that bench is quite something, but sitting on a bench doesn't demonstrate the functioning of a fourth axis gimbal. You've got to keep moving, got to keep moving. So I will. This is just such a pleasant spot. There's hardly any wind, which is handy when you're using a recording device which has no real wind protection. The sun is low. It's about, what is it, 4:15 in the afternoon, and the grass is, because of all the rain, such a vivid colour, positively Irish green. I'm still walking up a slight slope. Holding the camera like this is no big deal as far as the actual load on the hand. I could swap to the other hand, of course. It's a slightly odd thing to hold. It's not really designed as a hand grip per se, but the whole thing is very light. I was surprised when it turned up in the post that it was sort of barely there at all in terms of weight. Take a slight detour. In fact, I'll walk over there where there's a fence, and walking close along the fence will tend to again reveal the extent of the bounce. When I was testing this at home, I was a bit concerned that I'd over tightened it so that there wasn't enough give in the arms, but as I walk, it's clearly moving the other direction from the way I'm moving. It's doing its job as best as I would have thought is possible with such a simple design. I very much doubt whether it's completely eliminating the movement of my walking, but with luck it's reducing it a little bit. Let's hold on to the arm again. Here we go. So now it's locked. The arm is not working. So this is as if I was just hand holding the camera. And because I'm still holding it in exactly the same way, it makes a really valid comparison as opposed to just lifting it out of the support. Now I'm going to let go again. Let's walk over to this fence, and I'll walk as close as I can to the fence. So now it's acting as a fourth axis gimbal, just for the sake of it. Let's look along this open area, this open strip here. This long empty strip, devoid of trees or anything else, actually has a function, because beneath this is a huge water pipe taking water across Melbourne, and so they don't want trees growing too close to it lest their roots should find the water. And this strips such as this can be seen on the map going right the way across the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. One of my projects for the future is to walk along these strips. For the most part they're accessible to pedestrians. So okay, now I'm walking along the fence to reveal as much bounce as possible. The grass is fairly thick here, so fairly long grass, so I'm having to sort of lift my feet, and it's again a bit worst case scenario, but that should reveal as much as possible. To my right are some very expensive houses backing onto these beautiful parklands, and everyone has a different exotic design, particularly the newer ones. One I can see coming up on my right now where they've got a sort of swimming pool underneath an extension to the house. The house sort of juts out over the swimming pool. Very nice. You'd have to be a movie star to live in there, or a chartered accountant. Okay, I'm going to stop the arm movement again, stopping it now. So this is the natural bounce of me walking. And now I shall let go. Okay, and now it's bouncing on its own. Kids' Wendy houses here. Yeah, rather nice. And a wild dog challenging me from the house itself. Another beautiful modern house to my right. I'll do the decent thing and not point the camera at it. Actually, what I might do at this point is actually to turn the whole thing to my right so that it's going sideways. That may also give an indication of how it works, or how well it works. So I'm now holding it in my other hand, pointing it sideways. So in theory, you should see that fence stay nice and steady in the picture. In practice, well, we shall see. The house behind this fence is perhaps the most exotic of the lot, recently built, but understandably they defend their privacy. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back to my direction of walking, and I think when I get back to the road I'll leave it at that. If anyone's actually still watching, I'll be amazed. But if you are still watching, well, I hope you've enjoyed a little suburban park walk in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne on a beautiful afternoon, one day before spring starts tomorrow. And I'll see you next time.